What is up? What is up? What is up, you guys? It's your boy Xander here, back with another video. For those of you who are new to the channel, hello. My name is Xander, and on this channel we get into all things, everything. I do music reviews, I do reaction videos, I talk about hot topics, pop culture, and then sometimes I drop some knowledge, give a little advice, you know. I have a bag full of tricks. Today we're going to talk about something that I'm sure everybody watching this video has been plagued with: how to deal with a crush. How you deal with a crush when they just are not feeling the same way you do. So everybody goes through this. I've went through it actually a couple times. It's a thing. Crushes are things that happen to everyone, and today I'm going to give you guys some tips from my personal experience and professional experience. I just want to start this video by saying I am a college graduate. I do have a psych degree, and I am a certified counselor. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, but I mean, nothing teaches like experience, so I also have that as well. So let's dive into how you deal with a crush, especially when that crush is just not feeling the same way. So dealing with a crush can be really, really hard because when feelings get involved, especially like when you first start to crush for someone, you think about them constantly. They become almost your world. Suddenly every little thing that they do, you romanticize. It's cute, it's wonderful, it's adoring. You love them more than anything in the world. Crushes can be that intense. And so when someone does not like you back, that can be kind of heartbreaking. That could be kind of crushing to a lot of people. So the purpose of the video is just to kind of give you guys like a roadmap or some things that have helped me and some things that I would tell someone dealing with a crush, which is very similar to unrequited love, which is love that just is not returned to you. So the first thing on my list of ways to deal with a crush and how to get over it, you have to accept the feelings. And so a lot of times when we have feelings for someone and we fear that the feelings are going to be returned, or that they're not going to feel the same way we do, or it's someone that just, it's not realistic that we'll be together and stuff like that, we try to bury those feelings. And what you need to do, in my opinion, is to accept the feelings. Let yourself know, like, hey, you know, I'm kind of feeling, you know, this girl, I'm kind of feeling this dude, whatever. Because that allows you to give yourself the emotional space to get through that. So once you admit to yourself, like, hey, oh my gosh, I have a crush on her. Oh my gosh, I have a crush on him. That allows you the opportunity to kind of talk with yourself through those emotions. And you kind of got to go through, you know, they say you kind of got to go through it to get to it. So recognizing that those feelings are there gives you the opportunity to kind of power through those emotions. You give yourself the emotional space and the grace to understand those feelings, to think through them, and then eventually to come through them. And that's a big step toward getting over your crush. Time heals all wounds, and anybody who's been through a heartbreak, anybody who's been through any type of major loss, or just any really bad negative experience will tell you that time heals like no other. And so you have to give yourself time. It's not going to go away in a day. Even though it feels like crushes come like that, they take a while to get over. So for example, I was crushing on someone for years. So you have to give yourself time, and it could take a week, it could take 2 weeks, it could take months, it could take years, but you definitely have to allow yourself the time to get through those emotions. But what's really important is during that time, during that 2 weeks or that 2 months or that 2 years that you're going through that stuff, you have to make sure you don't wallow in those feelings, and you have to make sure that you take care of yourself. You got to make sure that you take care of yourself. So you've told yourself, like, look, I'm kind of feeling her, I'm kind of feeling him, I'm kind of feeling them. You told yourself that you're working through those feelings. You got to give yourself time to get over them. You got to give yourself time to get through it, but then you also want to take care of yourself during that time. Don't wallow in those feelings and get sad and get depressed. That's the time when you hang out with friends, and when you distract yourself with things that you love, when you understand the feelings that you're feeling and understand that it's going to take time to get through it, but then you also occupy that time with distractions and other things that kind of help you get through those feelings, because it can be a very painful experience and it can hurt, but you got to trust that time will be a cure, will be a remedy for those feelings. And when you constantly wonder, like, oh gosh, how long is this going to take, and you're not distracting yourself and you're not doing things that you love and you're not doing things you enjoy, it's just going to make that time seem so much longer. Another thing that I want to say when you're dealing with, like, when you're going through that giving yourself time, affirm yourself. Positive affirmations go a long way. And a lot of times when we deal with unrequited love and we deal with crushes that just are not feeling us like we're feeling them, it makes us think, well, why am I not good enough? I know I struggle with that. Like, well, why am I not good enough? Why am I not this person's type? Is it something about me? And one of the important things is to remind yourself of your worth. You have to affirm yourself because everybody has a type. You have a type, I have a type, and so you just may not be that person's type, and that's not anything negative towards you. People like what they like, and you can't help what you like, and you can't help what you don't. And so it's not a negative as far as your worth. It's not a negative as far as your appearance. It's not a negative as far as you. So you have to affirm yourself and kind of cheer yourself up and talk positively to yourself and know your worth through that experience, going through, that time. Because in that time of healing and in that time of getting through your emotions, a lot of thoughts can come up, a lot of negative things, because it happens. But you have to kind of combat that with affirmations and understanding your worth. And the fact that they don't feel the same way you do doesn't mean that you're ugly. It doesn't mean that you're not worth it. It doesn't mean that there's somebody out there for everybody. And unfortunately, that person may just not be the one. So another thing I want to say is you gotta be realistic. And when I say be realistic, I mean you gotta be realistic about your situation. Be realistic in your experiences. Be realistic about the person that you are crushing on. So what happens a lot of times when we crush on someone and when we're in that honeymoon phase, even in relationships, we romanticize every aspect of that person. And so one of the things that I like to do with my friends, with my family, with myself, is I'll tell myself, okay, she's got flaws. They are not perfect. And when you're crushing on someone, it can kind of feel like they're perfect and they can do no wrong, but that's not realistic. It is not the truth. And so you have to be realistic in a sense of them as a person and try to, I don't want to say focus on their flaws, but kind of don't allow your mind to trick you into thinking that they're absolutely perfect, and kind of make yourself think about some of the negative things that could come out of that or about that person, just to kind of check your brain, just to be like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on, not doing that. They're not perfect. But then also, when I say be realistic in your situation, it's depending on who you're crushing on. So like if you're, I know that I used to crush on one of my closest friend's parents. I used to crush on his mom. She was hot. But you gotta be realistic. Like, is that even a real thing? And while the movies and porn and stuff makes it feel like that is a real thing, it's definitely not. So you gotta be realistic in your situation about the person that you're crushing on, if that's even in the realm of possibilities. But then be realistic just about the situation as a whole. And basically what I mean is to just think about it with a clear head. Don't allow your feelings to trick you. Think with your head. And if your head ain't right, I got a tip for that coming up as well. Talk it out. What I mean by talk it out, talk about it with friends, talk about it with family, with people that you trust. Because a lot of times when we're crushing on someone and we're romanticizing them in the situation, our brains, they say stupid in love. Our brains kind of, they go a little haywire. They go crazy. And so when you talk it out with friends, you talk it out with family, you talk about it with people you trust, they can kind of add a different perspective, a non-love struck, crush struck perspective that'll help you kind of understand, like, hey, you're being a little crazy, or this is not realistic. They just basically bring a different perspective in it, and that can be really important. In the case that you're in a crush where you're just like head over heels, doing a bunch of stupid stuff, saying a bunch of stupid stuff, just being ridiculous. I have some of those stories where I just did a lot of just like, what were you thinking? And so it's good to talk it out with people that you trust to tell you the truth. Not yes men. You don't ever want yes men around you. You want people around you that'll tell you the truth and kind of give you a good perspective and be like, hey, you're being stupid. That kind of thing. That's what you need. Please understand that your feelings are valid. Everybody goes through crushes. Everybody's had a crush, whether it's a celebrity crush, whether it's crush on a neighbor, crush on a peer at school, crush on someone else's boyfriend or girlfriend. Everybody has crushes. So understand that your feelings are valid. You're not crazy for crushing on someone. You're not nuts. And if it's unrequited and they don't feel the same way, that doesn't mean that you're not worth it. And that doesn't mean that you're dumb for having a crush on them. It happens. Understand that it happens. Process those feelings. Grieve if you need to. But just understand that your feelings are valid and it's okay, and you are not alone. There are millions. I'm telling you, you will never find someone in their adulthood who will tell you they have never had a crush. It's just not realistic. Crushes are a part of life. It happens. Please don't let the feeling consume you. Don't let the crush or the feelings from the crush consume you. So for a lot of people, what happens is when they're crushing on someone, it becomes all that they can think about, and they linger on those feelings. And then if it's unrequited and it's not reciprocated, they linger on the fact that it'll never happen, or they linger on hoping that one day this person will fall in love with them. Believe me, it's not healthy. Don't linger on it. Grieve if you need to, work through emotions, but you want to process your emotions with the intent to move on. Grieve with the intent to move on. Deal with your emotions and talk it out with the intent to move on, with the intent to get to the other side. Because wallowing in those emotions, not going to do you any good. Don't linger. Don't linger. Distract yourself if you need to. Find a hobby. Find something you love. You know, I don't recommend getting into relationships to deal with crushes because that never ends well, but some people do that. But just find a distraction. Distract yourself and understand when you're dealing with your emotions, you're dealing with your emotions with the intent to move on. You got to let them go. Let them go. So understand this too shall pass. Life goes on. They'll move on. You'll move on. In the grand scheme of things, it won't matter as much. Trust me. I crushed on someone from 2016 to longer than I care to admit, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like, on to the next. Now y'all know I gotta, social media is dangerous. Social media is dangerous. Now, it has made it to where you can stalk your crush on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Snapchat, and all of that. Do not do it. If you are crushing on someone and you don't know if they feel the same way, or you know they don't feel the same way, please don't stalk their social media. I don't know if y'all know what FOMO is, fear of missing out. It will destroy you. Social media already has this uncanny ability to make people envious and jealous of the smallest things. If you got a crush on someone, you just need to avoid their social media at all costs. If you can help it, don't go scrolling through their stuff, because you never know, they may post a picture of someone with a heart, or say they're crushing on someone and you know it ain't you. Or they may be booed up and then they post a picture with a couple and then it's the end of your world. So just try to avoid stalking on social media. In my experience, what I did, I muted them. Like, I didn't want to unfriend them because obviously, I mean, I still wanted to maintain a friendship with them, but seeing them across my timelines all the time was just like, I can't do this, my heart. So I had to mute them just until I got through that. But one thing you don't want to do is stalk their social media. It will not end well for you. I promise it won't. It won't. So don't do it. Just avoid it in general. Just no. Okay, one thing that I have to say, do not, and this goes for people who like are not necessarily friends with their crushes beforehand. Do not get into a friendship with someone with the intent of it developing and blossoming into some romantic relationship. I know people say it's best to build a foundation of friendship first, but if you have a crush on someone and you go and they don't feel the same way, or you don't know if they feel the same way, and you go into a friendship with the hope that that'll turn into something romantic, don't. Let me tell you. Because one, that rarely ever works out. It's not realistic. And then in addition to that, friendship is much more important than that. And if you go into the friendship expecting something else, definitely not gonna end well, because I mean, the relationships are different. Here's someone who's thinking they are in a platonic, normal friendship, and then you have this person over here who's kind of got a little predatory thing going on because they're getting into the friendship with the hope that it will blossom into something more romantic. Friendship is not a consolation prize. It's definitely not something that you should just like, oh, well, if I can't date you, I'll just be friends with you, because that's not a way to deal with your feelings. And you may find that the more that you learn about them, it could go one of two ways. The more that you learn about them, the more that you love them, or the more that you realize like, nah, it ain't gonna work. Just don't go into friendships expecting a relationship, because those two things are not the same. And a lot of times friendships are a lot more important than relationships. I just don't want to see you guys get hurt. Just please protect yourselves. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. Seriously. It's a setup. It's a setup. That's the devil telling you to do that. And I'm telling you right now, I'm the angel on your shoulder. Don't do it. So this one's a little risky. And what I mean by risky is because in my experience, sometimes talking to them about it helps. But what I will say, I want to preface this with, you have to understand how you handle rejection. Okay, so if you intend to talk to your crush about it, first consider the relationship that you currently have, if you have one. Like I said, be realistic about your situation, whether you know them or not. And before you get into that conversation, understand that it could very well end very badly. And what I mean by that is you can very well just end up being rejected. And you never know how someone's gonna take it. I mean, like I said, everyone's had crushes before, so it could just be that they're receptive and they understand, like, oh, I get it, I just don't feel the same way you do. And they could say it the nicest way possible. It will still feel like rejection to you. It will still hurt. It will still leave you crushed. Be prepared for that, because it's not what you want to hear. So just understand that if you decide you want to talk to your crush about feelings that you have, you need to understand that they may not reciprocate those feelings. You will probably feel rejection. You need to understand how you deal with rejection. And if you don't deal with rejection well, honestly, I would avoid the conversation altogether if you think that you can. So the jury's still out on the best way to handle that, but I think that that is probably the smartest thing to do. Just understand before you go into that conversation what your relationship is like, if there is one pre-existing, how they could react, and then how you could react to their rejection if they don't feel the same way. In a perfect fairy tale world, you could tell your crush, hey, I am madly in love with you. And they could be like, oh, what do you know? I'm madly in love with you too. It's, however, not realistic. I kind of wish we lived in a perfect world, but we don't. So just keep that in mind. If you decide to talk to your crush, it's very likely that you will be rejected, and you have to be willing to deal with that. Their feelings are valid just like yours. I'm gonna reiterate this again because this is the end, but understand your worth. Know that you're worth it, and know that just because someone that you happen to have feelings for does not feel the same way about you, it doesn't make you any less valuable. It doesn't make you any less worth it. It doesn't make you any less beautiful. So keep that in mind, and while it may feel like it's the end of the world and you're in love and someone just doesn't love you, this too shall pass. Know your worth. Distract yourself if you need to. Surround yourself with friends. Affirm yourself. Speak positively about yourself. And just understand that it happens to everyone. You are not alone. Everybody has a type. Everybody has people they like. Everybody has people they don't. There are so many options out here. Do not torture yourself over unrequited feelings. Do not torture yourself over a crush that does not feel you back. Trust me, you will find someone that does, and when you do, that will feel better than anything in the world, and you will absolutely forget about that person you were crushing over. I wanted to be as realistic as possible in this video because it doesn't always end well. If I'm being completely honest and transparent, I am now friends with someone that I had crushed on for years. And when I say years, I mean years. And actually, we became friends, and then after we became friends, it got so much worse. Like, it was just like, oh, everything that I found out was just like, oh, marry me. And I dealt with those feelings by doing some of the stuff here. And it's not always easy, and it's not always a walk in the park, but I do believe that if you guys kind of take some of this advice, it could definitely help you. If you've dealt with a crush before, told someone you love them or had a crush on them and they didn't feel the same way, let me know how that went down in the comment section below. If you're experienced and you have, some ideas on what you did to deal with a crush, let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now, before you click off this video though, click on one of these other ones. Like I said, I have everything on this channel. We talk about relationships, we talk about pop culture, we talk about, politics-ish, just a bunch of different things. Thank you so much for watching. This is Xander. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share.